Good morning, good cold morning, and welcome to our MRTA conversation regarding ambulance services, emergency services, things like that. But it is a fantastic Thursday morning. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Green with Association Member Benefits Advisors, joined by your president, Nancy Craig, here today. We're going to talk about all different things related to emergency transportation issues in the state of Missouri, as well as some discounts that have just popped up on the scene, let you know the latest discounts and things that are out there, especially if you're planning some type of a spring activity, spring break like activity as well. So just as we've got some folks signing on here at the last minute, just a couple of housekeeping details before I turn it over to Nancy to kind of update us on what's going on. All participants are in a listen only mode. And what that means is that you can't, you're not seen or not heard on the screen, but later on we'll give you a chance if you have a question that you can ask those questions. And in the meantime, if you have questions through our conversation, feel free to drop those into chat or the Q&A feature. We can pause periodically and answer those questions as necessary as well. You'll also see a QR code down here at the bottom right-hand corner. You'll see that periodically throughout the conversation. If there's something that you wanted to go more in depth and find out more about what AMBA provides, all you have to do is take your smartphone, open your camera feature on your smartphone, and hover over that QR code. So don't take a picture of it, just hover over it. A little form will pop up. You can check a few boxes, fill out a little bit of information, and then you'll be able to roll on there. So Nancy, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for telling us staying in. Heard that there's white stuff all over the state. So kind of tell us what's going on at MRTA. And then I want you to kind of share your personal experience with our topic today.
I sure will, John. I want to tell you guys, John does a great job with these webinars. I've never done a webinar until I started this, and it's just really exciting to be able to hear him and be introduced to all these marvelous benefits that MRTA is providing and everything. It's a cold one here in Missouri. It's probably 24 degrees, not gonna. Supposed to get up to 30, and we have ice on the ground. So if you're in Missouri, stay home. I have been all over the state as president of MRTA, and one time I was at a region meeting, and one of AMBA's advisors was there. He was talking about MASA, the emergency program that they have for ambulances, for helicopters, for whatever, and I listened and took notes. And after the meeting was over, I went up to him and I said, "How do I sign up?" And he says, "Well, you want to do it right now?" I said, "Sure." It took 10 minutes for me to sign up. And I want to tell you, it's the best investment that I've made. I had been introduced it before at the beginning of our journey with AMBA, but it made more sense at that point, and that was like, I don't know, last year sometime. So I would highly recommend that you listen to John, and they've got a great program at AMBA. I am an old person, so I'm kind of computer illiterate at times, most times. But I know that AMBA has a lot of things that are computerized and that you have to know how to work the system. So maybe John can help you with all that. So, but anyway, that's my story, and I really appreciate the time. We're getting ready right now for a very exciting 3 days in March. The board of MRTA's board, my board, will meet on the March 7th in Columbia to do a lot of business. And then on the 8th and 9th, the presidents all over the state, the presidents of the units all over the state will meet in Columbia on the 8th and 9th. So it's going to be a really exciting, busy time for all of us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining us today. Stay warm in there. We will have someone from AMBA there. I would imagine we'll have Kel and Gary and probably Bo and some others there as well. So we look forward to joining
Bo is supposed to speak to us on Monday.
Great. Look forward to having you there with our leadership. So we thank you very much. And Nancy did kind of mention we're relatively new still in our relationship with MRTA, and we're proud of that. But we want to welcome Executive Director Maria Walden. she's on board now. I know she's been very busy at the Capitol. And I want to also encourage you, those of you on the call today, become friends with MRTA on Facebook if you're not already doing that, because it's a tremendous way to get the updates on what's going on at the Capitol. Some of the bills that have been passed that may not necessarily impact you right now, but they're impacting future educators or educators who will be future retirees and members of MRTA as well. And so we're going to support that as we go through here. So feel free, again, drop it into chat in here. If you've got questions, we thank you for those of you who are joining us, and slightly snowy all across the state. Some places are a little bit more snowy than others and icy as others. So thank you for jumping in here. Just a quick reminder, my name is John Green with Association Member Benefits Advisors. I live in balmy Houston. Right now it's 40 degrees, which is plenty cold for us. My wife is a second grade teacher in the elementary school that she and my 3 kids all attended whenever they were younger. I spent most of my career in classrooms telling teachers about what retirement looks like. And so I'm pleased to be able to share with you today. I want to thank Nancy for allowing me to come on today as well. I do have a connection to Missouri. My middle son, graduated back in the summer of last year from Mizzou with his master's in accountancy. And now he's down here in Houston with us doing that. So I loved my time up there. Never got to spend when it was snowing, which I'm fine with that, but loved all the other seasons as well. So let's jump on in here. Just a quick reminder, especially during this time of year from a legislative perspective, MRTA is fighting to do a couple of things that are very important. Watching out over your pension. Because last year's stock market was extremely good, pensions are ripe and flush with cash. Now, this year's stock market has not done so well. So, people watch that and they say, well, do we need to make a contribution to the pension fund? Can we afford a cost of living increase? Those type of things. I know you got a really nice one back at the beginning in January, which was great. And inflation kind of eats a lot of that up as well. But you do have that ability to get those cost of living increases. A lot of other states do not have that. MRTA continues to fight for that. Preserving your benefits, keeping you connected. Nancy mentioned we're all back together again, which is really cool. Be able to get back with leadership in your local units as well. And then partnering together with folks like AMBA to provide those all important benefits and discounts. And we're going to talk about some of those things today. As a member of MRTA, you have some advantages that maybe your education friends who are retired or not members of MRTA don't have. First of all, you've got the access to benefits that are maybe fill the gaps that you didn't have because of what you maybe left at the schoolhouse, or maybe fill the gaps from your benefits that you get from the state or through the district. They're portable if you leave the state for whatever reason. There's not any network that you're tied to, that you can take them anywhere. They're not tied to your paycheck or to your pension. So you can move them anywhere that you want to. But a couple of very important reasons that MRTA members tell us that they appreciate the benefits that they receive from MRTA and AMBA is that you can extend those benefits to your parents. You can extend those benefits to adult children who maybe are not eligible for your other benefits that you receive through the school or through your spouse's employment. And because many of our MRTA members leave the schoolhouse and then they go on to a second career. Now, it may not be a full-time career, but they're working after they leave the schoolhouse, but still have adult parents that are aging parents that are still with us. If the proper planning with their benefits can prevent themselves as MRTA members from taking extended time off without pay. And so that's another strong benefit of having a relationship with AMBA and MRTA. And MRTA goes out with the help of AMBA. We vet the companies, make sure that these are strong companies, the best of providers all across the country. Today, we're going to talk about, and Nancy touched on it a little bit, a program called the Medical Air Services Association. Really, that acronym doesn't mean anything to you. I'm going to share with you more about them in a moment. But I really want to talk about today is the whole concept of emergency transportation, because it's something that we don't deal with very frequently, but you may have had an experience with it at one time or another. People don't understand how it works, who pays for it, what's covered, what's not covered by different insurance, things like that. And this whole concept around the golden hour and trauma centers, certain level 1 trauma centers, we're going to identify all of those in Missouri. We're going to discuss those myths and realities of insurance and Medicare and what is and isn't covered. And as Nancy mentioned, how to have that peace of mind to know that if I travel or if I'm just going out to the mailbox and I slip and fall on an icy day, What happens if I have to be transported somewhere via an ambulance, airplane ambulance, that kind of thing like that. And then on this snowy day, we're going to help you dream just a little bit about when the flowers start to bloom, spring break comes around, and you want to get out and do some things and take advantage of some of the newest discounts that are out there that are free to you as an MRTA member. So let's jump on ahead in here. This concept of the golden hour the term was coined by Dr. R. Adams Crowley, who is a teaching physician up in the Northeast. We think it may have come from the World War I battlefields in France, but it's talking about that golden hour is that hour immediately after a traumatic incident in which if you can get medical treatment, you can prevent irreversible damage and increase the chances of survival. So that golden hour is so important. And as a result of that, ambulances, air ambulance and things like that, they have become more and more prevalent because they know if we can get you taken care of quickly after an auto accident, heart attack, stroke, fall, whatever it is, your chances of survival and getting back on your feet are much greater out there. And it really kind of hit me as I was going to see my son in Columbia. We'd fly into Kansas City, my wife and I, we'd drive out across I-70. And once you get outside of Kansas City, you all know this, the artery between the state, about every 30 miles or so, you see a field, whatever they're growing in the field, and you see a helipad. And my wife noticed that a couple of helipads as we were headed east. And I said, it's probably because there's not that many hospitals around here. And that golden hour is so important that you need to make sure that you get someone to a trauma center as quickly as possible. So the golden hour is one of the most important things there to realize, and that's why helicopters, air ambulances, ground ambulances are more prevalent to get you taken care of as quickly as possible. But as this ability to get you taken care of as quickly as possible comes about, that emergency medical transportation cost continues to go up and up and up. So it's kind of this, the more we need it as we age, the more expensive it gets. And that's the frustrating part because our income doesn't always go up and we can't just call the pension board and say, hey, I wrote in an ambulance, I need an extra 2 months worth of paychecks coming in, that type of thing. So you can see these stats here that ambulance costs are getting more expensive, and the use of ambulances and emergency transportation once we reach age 60 continues to grow significantly. A sizable percentage of those visits for emergency departments are over 60 plus. So you can see it becomes a challenge that way. And in Missouri, unfortunately, it's not any different than the rest of the country. But in Missouri, we've noticed that because of the rural nature, because of the distribution of hospitals in the state, it costs more to move people around. And the last time that they measured the amount of costs that Missourians were billed for transportation was about 4 or 5 years ago. $26 million were billed to Missourians by air ambulance alone, not talking ground ambulance, but air ambulance, going out to that helipad, transporting you to Columbia, St. Louis, or to Kansas City there. So you see, these are some headlines that I pulled just out of newspapers and off of your public radio, things like that in Missouri for the cost. And these are just the cost for transportation. It's amazing, especially when you get into certain specialties that you can't be treated at a hospital. You may have to go over to Illinois, somewhere else to get that treatment there. So you can see it can be quite expensive for the transportation because of the availability out there. And the Department of Health and Human Services kind of did a breakdown and showed that, of course, more females over age 65, about 59% of you, use ambulance services. And the top 5 reasons that we need emergency transportation, anybody over 65, heart attack and stroke are by far number 1. So you see that quite frequently. Then you get into a traumatic event like an accident of some sort, neurological disorder. This could be confusion. It could be dementia related. It could be something related to, enzymes in the body, whatever it is, something neurological that's outside of a heart attack or a stroke, respiratory distress, COVID, pneumonia, things of that nature, and then falls. This time of year, we think about falls because of what's going on with the weather. So those are the top 5 reasons that retirees need emergency transportation. And as we saw, the costs continue to go up, up, and up. And because of the rural nature of the state, because of where these trauma hospitals are, it could be expensive to get those transportation costs in there. all hospitals are graded by levels of trauma care which they provide. Level 1 being the very best of the best in trauma care. And think about level 1, your teaching hospitals, your hospitals that have specialists and equipment 24/7 available to them, and that you're going to get the best of the best treatment. Level 2, you may have the same type of equipment, but you don't necessarily have the faculty or as many specialists on board there. Then as you move down into level 3 and level 4, those type of trauma centers, even the level 4s, which I call doc in a box type places, really designed just to stabilize you and then to transport you on to a level 2 or a level 1 hospital. And what that means for those of you in rural Missouri is that sometimes you're going to have 2 emergency transportation events. An ambulance that gets you to the level 3 or 4 hospital or medical clinic, and then an air ambulance or another ambulance that takes you on. So that doubles the cost. So it's much more expensive on top of that. And when you look at the state of Missouri, there are 118 hospitals in the state of Missouri. Only 29 of them are rated as trauma hospitals. 10 of them are level 1. So you can look there in levels in zone C, where there are 5 around St. Louis. Makes sense. Region A around Kansas City, where there are a couple. Region F right down there in the middle, where Columbia is. So you can see where those regional hospitals are, where those trauma centers are. 29 trauma hospitals across the state, only 10 level 1s in the central part of the state across east to west. There are 41 counties in Missouri that have no hospital, which blows me away that you've got something smaller than that. Could be just a doc in the box type situation, but it really means that there is a chance that you're going to have to take double transportation, unfortunately, sometimes, or distance transportation to get taken care of in the event of a major accident. And people will say, well, I've got insurance. I've got insurance through the school, through my spouse. I've got Medicare. Why is my ambulance transportation or my emergency transportation not covered? Well, usually it is covered. First of all, let me first and foremost say that it's covered. But when I say covered, it doesn't mean it's covered 100%, even when you've got HMOs. And there are 2 big reasons why it's not covered 100%. First, with most commercial policies, when I say commercial policies, I mean any type of insurance outside of Medicare. With any type of insurance outside of Medicare, they have a term called usual and customary charges, where they set a pay schedule that says we will pay for X amount for emergency transportation. Well, the problem comes in that 85% of ambulance and air ambulance providers in the state of Missouri do not participate in any networks, are not bound by any usual and customary charges. And I'll show you how some of those bills work here in a moment, so they can go in and they can charge what they want to. It goes to the hospital, you get taken care of. The insurance company is billed by the ambulance provider and they pay the usual and customary charge. You're responsible for what's left over on top of that. Now, Medicare operates similarly, but they decline more medical transportation than private healthcare insurance. And here's why. They have language that's very tricky. They put a lot of qualifying language on there, and they determine whether you needed the transportation or not. So the coverage can depend upon the seriousness of whether you needed to be transported or not. Now, I'll give you my own personal example. This was an example that happened to my son, the one that I showed you that graduated from Mizzou. Not a Medicare situation. He was playing Little League football back when he was about 9 or 10. And I looked out on the field and he was immobile, totally laid out immobile. All I could hear was his crying. We rushed out there, and in about 10 minutes, here comes an ambulance backing out onto the field, strapping him down onto a gurney and hauling him off the field. And the ambulance driver asked, where do you want him to go? And my wife, we've got 3 hospitals within just a few miles of us, about 5 miles from the football fields. And she said, go to this hospital, because our doctor worked with the hospital. He goes there. Fortunately, thank the Lord, he only had severe cramps, didn't know as a 10-year-old what severe cramps were like. And they gave him some IV fluids, Gatorade, that kind of stuff like that. And he went home with us that night. Ambulance bill comes back and it's $1,500. Well, the insurance company says, based on what they did at the emergency room, you didn't need to send him in an ambulance. We were responsible for the whole $1,500. Medicare operates the same way. They can determine if your neighbor finds you in the front yard and doesn't know what's wrong with you and they call an ambulance, they can determine, oh, you could have been taken by that neighbor in a car. And so they're not going to pay. So again, some tricky language out there. I'll show you kind of how they work that. If you have insomnia, I would encourage you to download some Medicare pamphlets. They're very exhaustive in how they cover it, but they put you to sleep pretty quickly. This is a section out of last year's Medicare pamphlet that talks about what Medicare covers in relationship to ambulance services. And the thing that I've highlighted in here is that they may pay for emergency ambulance services. They may pay for limited medically necessary non-emergency ambulance transportation if you have a written doctor's statement that you have to have transportation that way. You're still responsible for the Medicare approved amount and the Part B deductible. Of course, if you have a supplement, then it can come in and pay on top of that. Again, the challenge is that most ambulance providers do not participate in Medicare or Medicaid networks. They don't participate in Medicare Advantage networks. So they're not tied to what the usual and customary charges or the pay schedule that Medicare provides in there. So Medicare will pay. They'll pay their portion. If they deem that it was medically necessary for you to be transported, you're left with the balance. And I want to show you some of those balances here in just a moment there. Medicare will also do something a little bit different. And when you go into an ambulance, if it's staffed by an EMT, it's like a basic life support type person in there, stabilize you and go forward. Basic life support applications such as CPR, giving you oxygen, checking your vital signs, maybe splinting or bandaging up a leg if you've fallen, something like that. That's basic life support. Medicare will cover that type of service within the ambulance. Advanced life support, where you've got maybe a paramedic in that ambulance or a paramedic in that air ambulance doing EKG monitoring, any type of defibrillation, any type of chest compressions, fluid therapies, IVs, things like that, they will not pay for. Advanced life support is not paid for. Well, how many of you have ever gotten into an ambulance and say, are you going to pay for my basic, or am I getting basic life support? Am I getting advanced life support? You don't know. The need is there to take care of you. You're not concerned. You're more concerned about getting to the hospital as quickly as possible. But Medicare will not cover certain expenses. That air ambulance or that ground ambulance will turn around and bill you for those things that Medicare does not cover beyond the transportation. It's actually the care while you're in the ambulance. So those things, again, 99% of the time, just like with my son, we didn't know what he needed. They were taking care of him at that point. All my son could tell them was, do not cut my jersey off. And so that was all he was concerned about. We were more concerned about other things. It didn't matter. We'd have paid whatever, just get him to the hospital. Again, that's our situation. On the back end, when the billing starts, is when the unfun stuff, the stuff that's not fun, comes in there. And you can't prevent those bad things from happening. You can't prevent an accident. You can't prevent a slip and fall at home. You can't prevent a heart attack, a stroke somewhere, whether you're at home, whether you're down at Disney World with the grandkids, whatever like that. You can only be prepared when it happens. And that's what MRTA has stepped up to provide a program called MASA. This is Medical Air Services Association, but really the air name is a misnomer. It's any ground ambulance, any air ambulance, anywhere in the world, no matter where you are, whether you're in Missouri, in California, Florida, Mexico, over in Europe, it doesn't matter. Any ground, any air, anywhere, they will pay for all of your bills. So let's kind of take a look and go a little bit deeper into some of the costs that are out there. And then I will take you through what MASA covers. And then I'll show you at the end what the opportunities that you have out there for you. So these are a couple of bills that were here. These were in Texas. I've used these for a while. These are probably 4 or 5 years old, so I'm not even sure what the expense cost is. You see one's about 7 years old now. That first one was 20 miles. They just went 20 miles in an ambulance, which, as you know, in Missouri and in Texas, 20 miles is nothing. That could be just right down the street, so to speak. Just to get the ambulance dispatched was $1,300. 20 miles out there, $420. You see the bill was $1,700 plus. Blue Cross Blue Shield picked up a small portion of that, and the insured or the client had to pay the balance of that. You come down here, look at another situation, just going 9 miles was over $1,000, close to $1,500. Small Cigna payment, 464, balance of over $1,000. Again, each time the patient was responsible for those balances over and above the usual and customary charges. Go 4 miles in this situation, another $1,300. So, I mean, whether you go just a few miles or whether you're going 100 miles across the state, that doesn't matter. There's significant charges that go along with the mileage out there. And then you get transported to an air ambulance or a helicopter pad. They have to land out at your farm, something like that. This is an example of a real bill that we got in California a few years ago. Blue Cross Blue Shield is a phenomenal payer. Took care of the insurance just like they were supposed to. Just to start up, that helicopter was $33,000 plus to get that flying. They flew 25 miles, $7,400. And then you start to see all of the different things that they did on that air ambulance. So you've got that paramedic in there treating you in that golden hour to get you to a hospital as quickly as possible. $41,000 was the total bill. Blue Cross Blue Shield did pay $33,000 of that bill, but the patient was still left with an $8,300 bill. So that's still a pretty significant chunk of change. And I'm not, I'm not a wealthy retired educator like most of you are on this call today. I can't just call up the pension board and say, hey, I had to take a ride in a helicopter. Can you send me 4 more checks, kind of thing? So, from that perspective, the expense out there is real. MASA comes in and provides this service for you. And they've been doing it for over 48 years now. They've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They do 2 things. And so I want to make sure that you understand this. They actually do have staff, paramedics, registered nurses, physicians that they have on contract. Now, some of these are stationed all across the world in travel hotspots. And then in America, because we've got a pretty substantial network of ambulances and all that, they'll cover any ambulance. So they've got medical professionals that are involved in this, and there's no dollar limits on your emergency transportation costs. So you saw that bill beforehand for $8,000. MASA would pay that 100%. So there's 2 million active members in MASA. It's been around, not the longest, but one of the best. And there's 2 million members out there that are participants with MASA, would have that peace of mind knowing there's something happened to them, they wouldn't have a dime out of their pocket. So let me show you a couple of examples here of how this took place. This is a letter that was written to us about 5 or 6 years ago now. And as you know, you go around Kansas City, St. Louis, suburb communities, things like that, but traffic kind of gets to be a headache. This is from an individual whose husband had I think it was a stroke, had an emergency that had to be rushed to the hospital. And because of rush hour traffic in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they needed to dispatch a helicopter to pick her husband up and take them to the hospital. Well, they did that, got it taken care of for the stroke, got it treated in time to quickly recover. Everything was great there. A few days later, when she was talking with her representative from MASA, found out that it was almost $25,000 for that short flight from the suburb of Fort Worth into a hospital to avoid the traffic to take care and save her husband. MASA paid for that 100%, took care of it 100%. So it wasn't just a ground transportation issue, it was an air transportation issue as well. Now, most people follow just through through ground ambulance. It covers that 100%, but these are just a couple of examples. So that was at home. This is an example of a retired educator who was traveling. This was pre-COVID. Now people are starting to get back out and travel a little bit more, but she went down to Mexico and was climbing some of those pyramids down there outside of some of the resorts. She broke her leg. Bad enough that she broke her leg, but the hospital down there couldn't get it set just right. Was having problems with circulation. They called MASA. MASA flew a plane down there to pick her up, to fly her back to her home state, and we're able to take care of her leg so that she could regain walking abilities, not only just the emergency transportation, but regain walking abilities. And not only got her back quickly, and didn't cost her a dime, but they saved her mobility and her ability to go back out and travel again. So MASA has a lot of different benefits beyond just emergency transportation. The repatriation ability to get you back and get you back whole quicker is so important there. So those are a couple of examples that members have told us there. Here's some examples of a vacation in Hawaii. Her husband was having a stroke and got him settled, but he couldn't fly commercial back home. So it flew her and her husband back to Florida, where she was from. $58,000 cost for the air ambulance. MASA paid 100% of that. Some compliments on the other side here, talking about dealing with her 94-year-old mother, the services that MASA provided, the safety, the cost effectiveness of it. They were thoroughly pleased with what they received for their mother in terms of anybody worrying about that. So as a result of what her mother had, she signed up for a plan because MASA took care of it all for her. Now, what exactly does MASA do? MASA is not insurance. Let me be real clear about that. This is not an insurance plan that you have to qualify for. MASA is a supplement to any type of health insurance coverage that you have, be it Medicare, be it private coverage, be it no coverage at all, what you have there. It's a supplement that gives you complete 100% financial protection for any type of life-saving emergency transportation, whether you're at home or whether you're away from home. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you get to the hospital. Doesn't matter how you get care. MASA covers it 100% in that transportation arena. Now, what they'll provide, and I kind of showed you some of the examples through the testimonies that individuals talked about, they'll provide that emergency air transportation, which could be a emergency plane to get you out of a certain area, to get you back home, helicopter transportation, just like we talk about those helipads all throughout Missouri, ground ambulance, which is the most common way that people will travel to get emergency care, covers it 100%. That repatriation, again, say you may have gotten injured somewhere else, you got healed up, they will pay to fly you back, that type of thing. They will also pay for return transportation for spouses. If you are down at Disney World with your grandkids and something happens to you, they will also fly your grandkids back to make sure that they have a safe trip back as well. They'll also give escort transportation. They'll return your vehicle. Many of our members will travel this summer, spring break. They'll go down to Florida. Once the summer hits, like myself, we'll go up to the national parks in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, that way. And if something happened, they'll drive your vehicle back for you, return that back as well. We've had members that have gone down to Mexico to a second home, something like that, and their spouse passes away. They'll pay for the mortal remains to come back, that type of thing. So it's worldwide coverage. You've got nothing to worry about. They'll take care of you in whatever situation. Now, there are many different types of memberships. There are annual memberships that cost less than a cup of coffee a day. And when I say this, I'm not talking about one of those Starbucks $5 lattes with the foam and stuff like that. I'm talking about a 7-Eleven 75-cent cup of coffee. So very inexpensive for you or your family. I'll show you some discounts that are available to you right now. But for those of you who want to may look at more of an economical or a long-term solution, there are 5-year and lifetime membership opportunities that you pay one set price, and then it covers you for that 5 or for the rest of your life for you and your family. Those come with an ID bracelet, and that ID bracelet allows you to program in, and our representatives up there in Missouri will help you do that, but program in all your medical information, program in any prescriptions that you're on, any health conditions that you have. And paramedics are trained to look for those type of bracelets. They're trained to look for that little clip. Some people put it on their Apple Watch. They may not want to carry one of these these bands here, but they know to scan that. And so they can scan that and see your medical history, your contact information, who do I contact in case of emergency, in your family, those type of things, and start those type of drugs that you need for your condition, especially if you've got a heart condition, had a previous stroke, something like that. They can call the MASA online and know exactly what all is needed out there for you. So it's just another peace of mind when you travel, another peace of mind wherever you are, that you've got quicker service, that golden hour being so important. This comes to you free as a member of a 5-year or a lifetime member in the plan. Now, people talk about, well, why do I need MASA? We've talked about whether you've got it at home, travel, international travel, ground or air. You got the best coverage out there. Members of MRTA have a special 40% discount off of the membership price. You can purchase MASA directly online as a consumer, meaning you can go out to their website, you can purchase it directly online, and you'll get some of the same benefits, a little bit different there, but you have to pay a membership fee and you're going to pay quite a bit more on the list price. MRTA members get 40% off of the retail price, and we waive the membership fee, or the membership fee is waived for MRTA members. Okay. Two big cost savings out there. So that's a significant savings for you right there. That more than pays for your MRTA membership, that membership fee being waived right there. And then for MRTA members, MASA does additional features. They will waive any type of claims paperwork, meaning that if you get a bill from the provider, all you have to do is take a picture of it and send it to MASA. You don't have to fill out a claim form. You don't have to do anything. You send in that bill, they pay it directly. You don't have any dime out of your pocket. And there's a special 24-hour, 7-day-a-week hotline support that you can contact. One of the things MASA likes to do, and I was on with the Oklahoma Retiree Association last week with their president, and she is the leader of her church choir there in Norman. And they travel pre-COVID all over the world with their choir. They go to Croatia, they go to Europe, they go down to Mexico, they do all these things with the choir. Well, Polly is the president's name. She calls MASA every time the choir goes to one of these countries. And MASA says, all right, we will have medical personnel, ambulance, air, whatever it is, in that country or stage nearby in case something happens. That's an incredible benefit. Polly said we've never had to use it, thank goodness, but she knew that if something did happen, MASA was already alerted to know to have resources in that area. They do that for all their members. So if you go on a cruise, if you go somewhere out of country, all you have to do is let them know. They'll stage medical personnel and air ambulance services in that area just in case something happens to one of their members. So again, more peace of mind out there for you, that 24/7 support. So what questions can I answer for you? Please drop those into chat, drop those into Q&A. One person asked, what is the cost per month? For an individual, which would cover just you, it's $27 a month. For a family, that would be you and a spouse and any children under the age 26, it's $35 a month. So those are your costs that you have out there on a monthly basis. As you go to a 5-year membership or a lifetime membership, you can see that it would be a little bit more than that, but those are available to you. The staff in Missouri, they can help you out with any questions that you have in regards to, is this right for me based on my age? Do I need a 5-year versus a lifetime? That type of thing, can show you where your cost savings are in that regards as well. So if you've got questions on MASA, all you have to do is simply take your smartphone, hover over that QR code. That QR code will pop up. Once you open up your camera, it'll pop up and it will have a form. You can just select MASA, fill out your information. We'll get someone to contact you right away. If you're joining us on an iPad or on your phone and you can't use that QR code, you can simply email me, john.green@amba.info, and I will get someone in contact with you right away. I'm going to show this screen here in a moment after we go through the discounts, and that way you can understand what's available to you as well, but don't worry about it. We'll have this available for you shortly as well. Okay, let's talk about discounts. Spring is coming, I promise. Nancy assures me that there's not much snow coming up anymore and in Missouri, but it's time to get back out there. Some online stuff, there's a lot of new discounts that are out there through your Passport program. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Passport, Passport is a free benefit to you as an MRTA member. This is a way that we can tell you, thank you for being a retired educator. Thank you for being a member of MRTA. You can stretch your pension dollars, whatever your money, we all know we need this. You can stretch your dollars further on shopping, dining, travel, all sorts of things out there. So I'm going to show you some of the latest and greatest discounts that are out there, walk you through that, and then I'll show you a live tutorial in just a moment. So show you how to get signed up and help you take care of that. So you see the clothes and housewares that are out there. Many people take advantage of the shoe discounts that are available, the Kohl's discounts. Housewares, Best Choice Products is kind of your soup to nuts, everything that you'd use housewares that are out there for you as well. So those are some discounts there. The one thing that's really kind of neat that's impressed me, are the hot deals lately. I'm going to show you that a little bit on the website here in just a moment, the hot deals. If it's time to upgrade your phone, or you've got a grandson or granddaughter graduating college here soon, they're going to need some type of a laptop or some type of equipment. Apple and Hewlett Packard, they're doing tremendous deals for the rest of the month. Great ways to go out there and save money on the new iPhones, Apple Watches. They rarely ever put those on sale. And so great ways to get discount that way. If you're a foodie, all sorts of new subscription services, online services for food, wine, cookies, edible things like that, meal service deliveries. I've also noticed a lot more local restaurants popping up all across the state. This is the one thing that a year or two ago, there weren't as many local restaurants all across the state that were a part of this discount program. I'm seeing more and more of these out there. And part of that is because using MRTA members are referring those restaurants to the Passport program and getting them involved and getting them eligible for the discounts. And it's a way for you to save money as well. So there's a way for you to save significant amount of money out there on the new dining options that are all across the state. Many options out there. And then as spring happens, even though a lot of you are not in the classroom anymore, thinking about travel pops up. Okay. The thaw happens. If you're thinking about going to Vegas or down to Florida, phenomenal discounts on hotels. Go out to ticketsatwork.com out there on the Passport site, Tickets at Work, and you're going to find all kinds of savings for hotels. You're going to find all kinds of savings for down in Florida, theme parks, hotels, tickets, the whole 9 yards that way. Great Wolf Lodge, Extended Stay America, Branson, Boonville. You've got some local places. And some of these discounts you'll get are like discounts off the room rate, but you'll also get upgrades and food credits and things like that. So there's a lot of different things that you can explore out there. I know Nancy in the past has saved money off of rent cars through the Passport program. You can do that as well, whether you rent it locally or whether you fly somewhere and get that rental car that way. Some of you have told us in the past, hey, I want to go somewhere and take my family and do like an Airbnb, somewhere where you rent a house, that type of thing. Go out and look at Haven, HVN, Private Havens. This is a really neat site where you can get great discounts on home rentals all across the country out there. So those are some really cool discounts that are out there. Let me show you just a couple of things here real quickly. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to share for you again the Passport website. So if you have questions about your program that you have through MRTA, this is the Passport website. Whenever I take you back to that QR code, I will have you fill out that QR code, put benefits review on there. I'll have someone review this with you, how to get in there. So I just went out to the Passport website. Again, it's free for all MRTA members. You can get this on your desktop. You can get it on your phone. So if you're traveling, you can use it on your phone. I went in and just plugged in Kansas City, Missouri. Okay, so I went in there, plugged in Kansas City, Missouri, and I see across here that there are 588 offers that are available to me. 6 of them in the past 30 days have been added. So I can scroll down here. I can search it up at the top through dining, and I can look at just any restaurants out here. I can search by all restaurants, type of restaurant, delivery services, gifts if I'm sending somebody something across the board, meal prep that's out there, things like that. Shopping, I can come down and look at home and garden if it's time to start sprucing up for spring garden. I can look at finances and money if I need help with preparing my taxes. Happy and healthy if there's any type of health things that are out there. Pets, there are so many pet things out there. If you've got pets, great way to save money on toys, food, medicines, vitamins, all that kind of stuff. And then you get into your tickets and your sports entertainment. Hopefully baseball will come back. Those of you who are in Kansas City and going to the Big 12 basketball championship, say hello to my daughter. She'll be there, but you can buy tickets for that as well. Clothes, accessories, all sorts of things like that. Travel, again, with travel, you can come down here, hover over travel, rent cars pop up, cruises, tours and attractions, transportation, airfare, vacation packages, all sorts of different things out there. If you're adventuresome and want to go skiing, there's tremendous rates off of skiing out there. So you can see that's where you find those things. You can do the same thing here. You can click these boxes here, get the same thing as you go forward. You'll have seasonal selections across here. People are still doing their healthy habits at the start of the year. Scroll down, look at some of the newest offers. Again, I talked about tax savings out here, hotels, different things like that. Then you can scroll down here and you'll see these hot deals. These are things that are symboled by these fire symbols. So you click see all hot deals. And this is where I was showing you some of the best ones that are out there right now. It will pop up and it'll just say, I found 11 within 25 miles of Kansas City, Missouri. Most of these are online savings. I could put it to 300 miles if there was somebody that had something further. So you can do your radius out here. Apple, you can see there's special pricing for Apple watches, Apple iPhones, that type of stuff out here. You're learning a new language, Lenovo off of laptops, HP off of laptops, vitamins, a lot of different hot savings out here for different travel things as well. So that's another way that you can find the hottest and latest. If you're going to national parks, they're doing so much around those. Now, you're not going to get discounts off of the passes to get in the parks, but there is so much off of lodging and travel and gear and prep services and stuff like that. It's really pretty cool. So that's what you can see out there. Then you can hover down over here. You can see your location. You can hover over and see the different places that you get discounts, the different restaurants and things like that as well. So that's a look at the Passport site. Again, this service is available to you for free, but there is an activation code that you have to get back in and find that. And we'll show you and tell you how to find that whenever you contact us. We'll get you in contact and take care of you that way. So that's some of the discounts that you can see that are out there. Winter is going away. Spring is coming. Nancy promises me that. We've got 2 more webinars coming up in March. Long-Term Care 101 and 201, our most popular conversations where we talk about if you have a long-term care policy, what the components are. If you don't, what some of the exposures are, what Medicare does and doesn't pay, how they're changing all that. We talk about that. And then if you've had a problem before with getting declined for long-term care because of a health issue in the past or family history, we're going to talk about what some solutions for that or some alternatives for that. So be on the lookout. Thursdays at 10:30. We've got a couple coming up in March that you can take advantage of for that. And don't forget to tell your retiree friends about this. Tell your family members about this. I would highly encourage you, if you've got sons or daughters that will be responsible for your care once you can no longer care for yourself, send them the registration link for these long-term care 101 and 201. We're going to talk about the impact on family members of long-term care and decisions that family members have to make. I know that the decision whenever my brother, my stepmother, and I had to make to put my father into a long-term care facility was not an easy one. It was made easier because we had done some pre-planning, but knowing this information can help that conversation greatly in your family. Let them know about this. Let them know about MRTA. All of the COLAs that you won that started in January, all the benefits that you enjoy are because the 30,000 members of MRTA stood up at the Capitol and said, we need these things. We need more members out there. So please, please, please jump in, tell them about becoming a member of MRTA, get them involved at the local level, get them involved at the state level. It really can benefit them overall. Okay, we've had a couple of questions pop in here. Feel free to put those into chat and you can do that. So again, Mary, thank you for joining us out here. She signed up for this webinar as a recommendation of another retiree, Patty and Dale McGowan. So again, that's the best way to find out. This is why MRTA does these educational webinars. We know it's not as easy anymore these days to get in a car and drive 2 hours to listen to something for an hour. If you'd rather do it in the safety of your own home, especially on a day like this, these webinars are here for you. So again, if you've got questions, drop them into chat. If you want to find out about the MASA program, if you want to find out about the Passport program, take your smartphone, open up your camera feature, hover over that QR code in the bottom left-hand corner. A little form will pop up. You can hit that form. You can check MASA, benefit review, type in Passport in the other section. Simply put your information in there, send it back to me. I'll take care of someone getting you right away to take care of any questions that you have. If you don't have access to a smartphone or you're on your phone or a tablet, simply email me at john.green, jon.green@amba.info. and I will be glad to connect you with someone in Missouri that is licensed that can take care of any needs that you have there. So any questions? I'm going to go ahead and stop recording at this moment.